Hi everyone, day 20 of my 77 live video challenge. This is Heart and Soul with Evelyn. I'm on a bit later than usual. I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? But I ran into someone as I was bushwalking, and she just reminded me of what I wanted to talk about. She told me that she had gone to her 50th and reunion for her high school. And I said, yes, of course, I'm going to talk about high school because that was such a huge part of my life. Now, I know I've been talking about being an Army brat because the first part of my sophomore year, which is year 10, 6 months I went to a high school in Arizona just for 6 months while my father's moving back to the States. My mom actually stayed in Germany. So, and for junior high, I went from year 7 to year 9 in Giesbach. So year 9 is usually high school in different high schools in America, but it just depends where you're at. So, anyways, for high school, I just want to talk about my experience. My last 2.5 years in high school were spent at a high school in Killeen, Texas, which is used to be called Fort Hood. It's now called Fort Cavazos. And that is where I went to high school. I went to high school, Ellison High. It was a 5A school. And what that means, it's one of the largest high schools you can go to in Texas. Now, it's under what is called the UIL, which means it is the University Interscholastic League, and that is how they rank high schools. And they rank it for, as far as sports go, for football, musical, and academic contests. Because the bigger the school, of course, the more students you have and the better you'll do. So we were 5A, meaning with our football, we would play other schools that were also 5A. Now, current enrollment just last year was 1,682 for that's year 9 to year 12. And I know when I went to high school, it was about that range, because I think I had 400 and almost up to 500 students that graduated with me in 1983. Now, just a few months ago, I went to my high school. I hadn't been there in over 40 years, and I happened to be able to go in, and they said, "Oh, come back later. You'll be able to walk through the high school." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how exciting!" So as soon as I walked in, they told me, of course, to come at 4:30 when all the students were gone. As soon as I walked in, the principal, Mr. Dominguez, he comes out with my high school yearbook, and he was like, "Oh my God, we haven't had anyone visit here from that long ago." Of course, I felt a little bit old then, but as I walked through the high school, just memories started flooding in of all the connections I made, and the things I got up to, the things I wish I wouldn't have gone up to, you know how it goes. But it was just so many memories had flooded in. The coolest thing I found is that we have got a big E on the school, and E, of course, stands for Ellison. I had no idea that this E was here's a picture of me right there. I had no idea that the big E on the high school was a gift from my class. So I graduated in 1983. So I don't know if you can see, probably not, but it's a gift from the senior class of 1983, which was me. Now, the school opened in 1978, so the first full graduating class was 1982, and then of course 1983 was also if they had attended 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, most American high schools at that time, now think about it, this was in the 80s, so it was kind of a romantic time. I think it was, because I think of all of the movies from the 80s. Remember all those cool high school movies in the States, all the ones, especially from Molly Ringwald. Remember 16 Candles, also she was in The Breakfast Club, and then Pretty in Pink. I love those movies, and those all came out right around the time I was in high school or my second year in college. Also, Footloose came out. Remember Footloose? And Flashdance and Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Dirty Dancing. So this sort of romanticized, you know, being in your late teens. And it was also during this time in high school where I met some lifelong friends who are still my friends today. And you know, it was just so, this is our yearbook here. Yeah, and it was just, you know, it's just really cool. And in the States, we usually write, you know, we really write our little tributes to our friends. I mean, we usually say, oh, you know, you were such a great person, and oh, we're going to miss you so much. So there are a few that I still keep in touch with from this time, like over 40 years ago. And yeah, so it's a bit of a reminiscing, and it's a bit nostalgic too. And the 80s were such a fantastic time. I mean, remember, we had no social media. We had no phones, no mobile phones. So how did we connect? We had to call the night before and make plans. And, you know, say, oh, meet me here at the locker, in front of the locker, or whatever. And that's how we communicated, or we passed notes in the hall in between the bell ringing. It was such a great time. So I thought the next few days, I'm just going to share some memories from high school. And for those of you, you know, who are watching this a bit later, why don't you tell me what your like most interesting time in high school, what that exactly was, and I'll share some memories from high school. So the high school I went to was Ellison High, and hi, Charmaine, my best viewer. Thank you so much. So the high school I went to, Ellison High School in Killeen, Texas. It was ranked a 5A school, which is the highest ranking that you can get in Texas, and that means, you know, there's a lot of students there. Also, you know, when we had to play football, we always had to play against the 5A school, so that there was fair competition. And of course, the romanticism of the 80s, I think, added to going to high school in the 80s. It was an exciting time. I really enjoyed my high school in America, in Texas. It was a bit different. And I know in Australia, you know, students usually wear uniforms, but in high school it was a thing. You're really worried about what you're going to wear the next day. It was an absolute thing. So the next few days, I'm going to share some memories from high school. And if you've got memories from high school, please share them with me. What are the fun things you remembered? And yeah, maybe what are the boyfriends you remember too? Let me know about that as well. Or the naughty things you got up to, or the really cool things you accomplished. I would love to hear that. This is day 20. Evelyn, Heart and Soul with Evelyn. Tomorrow is day 21. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Hi, Lou. Hi, Charmaine. Thank you so much.